The untouchable True School Sports Empire proudly presents something the boxing game's been missing. Hey, what's going on? It's your boy BT, and I came here to talk some boxing with the thousands of True School Sports subscribers. Now, I wanted to talk about Caleb Plant, the Caleb Plant side of things. I just talked about the Canelo side of things, and we gave him his just due. We gave him his credit because he's earned his credit. He's earned his just due, and I'm no hater of anybody. I'm no hater. I have too many good things going on in my life to hate on another man's success. So all respect goes to Canelo Alvarez for a great performance. But listen, let's talk about Caleb Plant for a second because, man, I thought he performed well. I thought obviously there was more he could have did. There were some mistakes he made in the fight, which he paid for dearly towards the end of the fight. But, man, you got to put things into context, man. Like, Caleb Plant came into this fight with 21 fights. As most of the Canelo fans were so quick to point out, in the build-up to the fight, he hadn't really fought the creme de la creme as far as fighters go. So it was a massive step up in class for Caleb Plant. But I was wrong with my prediction of the fight, and obviously that's no secret. I was very wrong. Canelo won, I was wrong. But I was also right when I said that Caleb Plant would, of the champions, between Callum Smith, Billy Joe Saunders, and Caleb Plant, I said Caleb Plant would be the toughest test for Canelo Alvarez, and that he was. He was in there. He lasted more rounds than Billy Joe Saunders, and he won rounds and was more competitive than Callum Smith. So you can't discredit the performance. Caleb Plant is a fighter that, forget the Canelo fight, forget boxing. He was never given much of a chance in life, and yeah, he got knocked out against Canelo. But you know what, man? I love Caleb Plant. I'm going to tell you why I love Caleb Plant. I love Caleb Plant because he's one of the few people in boxing that's unashamed to unapologetically be himself. And by being the confident person he is, it ruffles people's feathers the wrong way because we live in a world where most people are miserable. Most people don't have the balls, the courage, or self-confidence to go after what they truly want in life. And here was a guy that did. He told you guys in the build-up to this fight, he said, I wanted to run this thing all the way to the top, and I had no problems crashing and burning on the way down if I didn't. And he showed that last night. He did some good things against Canelo. He was able to hit him with the up jab consistently in the fight. He was able to, stop him from, setting his feet as much as Canelo wanted to. Canelo had the overhand right available whenever he wanted. He didn't really throw it. And I think a lot of that had to do with just the way he fights and the angles that Caleb Plant brings to the table. There were a lot of things he did well in the fight, but he just didn't have, unfortunately, that extra bit of quality to beat Canelo. And unfortunately, the narratives were right. Everything the Canelo fans said going into this fight was right. He didn't have the experience to deal with a guy like Canelo at this stage of his career. But I don't think that's a loss that hurts his career. I think losses like that only enhance his career because he shown himself to be the biggest test Canelo's fought since the Golovkin fights. And truthfully speaking, there's been some fights people thought he lost, but I would definitely say, even though Canelo got the knockout, I would say that that's probably one of the top 5 toughest fights of Canelo's career. I would say Mayweather, obviously, because he lost. Lara, both Golovkin fights, or at least the first Golovkin fight. Maybe you could throw in the second. But he's right there. Maybe if he's not the 5th, maybe he's the 6th. Maybe he's right there. He gave Canelo a tough fight. And for a guy at 21 fights who didn't have the experience he had to go in there with a fighter as great as Canelo, as experienced as Canelo, and give him that kind of a fight, be right there till the very end, it shows you the quality that Caleb Plant has. And I really hope, look, people can let me have it all they want. I don't care if they say anything bad about me. I got thick skin. People say bad things about me every day. But I hope people after that performance will give Caleb Plant more respect and more credit because, a lot of people thought he was going to get knocked out in under 6 rounds. A lot of people, look, even though Canelo won the fight, a lot of people who picked Canelo got their predictions dead wrong. I got my predictions dead wrong, but even a lot of the Canelo fans got their predictions dead wrong because people were saying knockout in 5 rounds, 6 rounds, 7 rounds. He got to the championship rounds and was very competitive in the fight, and a lot of people had him winning. So you got to give him some credit. Man, I've been following Caleb Plant for a long time. I first started following him when he fought just before he fought Carlos Galvin in his like 11th or 10th fight. So I've been following him for like about 12 fights now, and been a fan of his because I just sensed something different in him. And he had the balls to do what most fighters with 21 fights will never do. You know, he could have just held the belt hostage. He could have, but you know what? He still fought him. And I know people are gonna say, well, he got $10 million to fight Canelo. Of course he's gonna fight him. But you know what? They initially offered him less than that, and that's why the negotiations broke down. They offered him, I think it was like $5 million in the initial negotiation. So he still had the balls to fight in the negotiation table with Canelo and not give Canelo everything he wanted until he got what he wanted. And even that takes balls because, you know, there's always a possibility Canelo could have went and fought somebody else. But he understood his position. He understood that he was a champion. He understood that Canelo Alvarez wanted that belt very badly, and he thought he could beat him. But he wanted to make sure he got what he was compensated. So I respect him. I respect him because a lot of times fighters say, oh, pay me what I'm worth, this, that, and the third. But when it comes to negotiations with a guy like Canelo and his team, they get strong-armed in the negotiations, and that didn't happen with Caleb Plant. So God bless him, man. He made $10 million. He made $10 million. He was National Golden Gloves champion, USA Olympic alternate, IBF world champion, challenged for the undisputed super middleweight championship of the world. He made $10 million, and he's going home with a Jordan Plant. So, yeah, he lost the fight, but did he really lose? I mean, I don't think he lost. I still think he's one of the best super middleweights out there. I think there's still good fights out there for him. Maybe he could fight Anthony Durrell, who had a sensational knockout last night. But Caleb Plant, listen, all I'm saying is this. He may have lost the fight. He won in life. He did a lot better than a lot of people thought he would do. It was one of Canelo's toughest fights of his career. He had to really make Canelo work and show that extra bit of quality to beat him. And you don't make Canelo work and have to show extra bit of qualities to win fights if you're not a good fighter yourself. Scrubs don't compete on that level with Canelo Alvarez with that much at stake. So Caleb Plant, I hope his stock has went up. I hope his stock has went up with some people. I hope people stop saying that, you know, he only fought Uber drivers and he only fought DoorDash drivers and this, that, and the third, because he was in there with a guy that many of you people out there say is the best fighter in the world, and he was right there with him up until the 11th round. So respect goes out to the fighting pride of Nashville, Tennessee. I'm still a fan. I'm a fan now more than ever because, like I said, he may have lost the fight, but he won in life, and he's a tremendous fighter, and I still think he's one of the best super middleweights out there. And there's still a lot of good fights out there. I know people want to see Canelo versus Benavidez, which I think is a lot less competitive than this. I think Canelo Alvarez will beat the shit out of Benavidez, and Benavidez won't win nearly the amount of rounds Caleb Plant won in this fight. But that's another discussion for another video. Shout out to the fighting pride of Nashville, Tennessee, Caleb Plant. Still a fan. I'll still be covering him for as long as he continues to box. And yeah, man, you guys, let me know what you guys think. Let me know, what did you think about Caleb Plant's performance? You know, has his stock went up with you? Has it not went up with you? Let me know all that in the comments down below. Make sure you guys take the time to subscribe. And like I say, every single one of these videos, you can love me or you can hate me, but I'm just kidding. Dang it. So until next time, take care, guys.